Naga, 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 naga. Yeah. You feel some? Do you feel some? Like, because that's the point. It's like just because of a word, you feel offended, you feel hurt. You're giving this much power to a word. It's time to move on. It's time to move on from this word. Let's call everybody nigger. Let's make everyone use the word, or let everybody use the word. Then it has no meaning. Why are we holding on to this meaning? Okay, all right. I get it. It's because your ancestors were called this word to demean them. This is the meaning. And this is exactly the point. Why do we give it meaning? Like, let's be honest. Our ancestors, or the ancestors of people who are called this word, are rolling in the grave right now. That everything they went through, real things, real shit that they went through, and you are offended by a word, this is the biggest thing for you right now, that the biggest way you can hurt a black person is to call him a word. This is what we've come to. Is this really it? And I don't mean to mock it. I don't want to mock it, but it's ridiculous. I'm laughing at the ridiculousness of it. How is it that we've come to this point that if you look at somebody on the street and say something and they get offended, we will say they're looking for attention. They're looking for validation for their existence. But at the same time, we want to act the victim. Yes, acting a victim because of this one word. We're giving them that much power that they should validate our experience, that they should choose how we feel. This is what it means. That somebody can decide how you feel. Slavery was very bad. And let me bring in my ancestors, those who went through colonization, and everybody around the world, apartheid, and all of that, who went through oppression. We have to move on. Never forget. But we have to move on. This whole thing about carrying the past with us is not helping anybody. So you want to play victim. It means somehow you want the other person to validate that they're responsible for your feelings. We have to look at this. What is forgiveness? Because they say, forgive but don't forget. And that's what I'm saying also. But we have to know what forgiveness is. Forgiveness is not for someone else. It is for ourselves. Letting go is forgiveness. That you are not holding on to something that it is wrong or right. You liked it or you don't like it. This is forgiveness. It's when you understand that you are responsible for your feelings. Your emotions are 100% yours. They happen within you. In so many ways, we have come to understand that when you chase happiness, the pursuit of happiness is the source of suffering. The more you see that your happiness is never here, the more you suffer. Because you feel like, if I get that, then I will be happy. If I get this, then I will be happy. And this is the same thing. You think that if somebody doesn't call you nigger or whatever, you're going to feel good. So it's the same thing with being peaceful. We have this idea that somehow if somebody is not in our life, we will be peaceful. But this is the very tension which is getting, like, we're creating within ourselves. We're putting expectations on life. You cannot choose whether somebody exists or not. So you wishing that they don't exist is bringing tension, because if they appear, you're in tension. You know, you feel agitated, then you have lost your peace. You were in peace before. Peace is always first. Anything you do, you first have to be peaceful. But if you keep looking for somebody else to give you peace, then you have lost your peace. And it's the same thing with happiness, joy, or love. It's something you feel. The more you look for somebody else to give you, then you don't want responsibility. Another aspect of this is that we want to punish the white man. In what way? They might suffer because they cannot say this word and they want to say it. But it's not because they want to hurt you, but because you have said they should not say it. This is the way the mind works. As soon as you say you don't want this in your mind, then that is the only thing which will be on your mind. So they suffer. But if we are enjoying their suffering, what does that say about us? Before Europeans came or white people came, we had a connection with the land. We had a culture of responsibility for the land and for our health. We had a culture of oneness, of love. We had this. But now when we talk about cultural appropriation, what are we talking about? See, the world is moving on. The world is moving on in so many ways. One thing that is attributed to Jomo Kenyatta, the Kenyan, my people, Kenyan president, Kenya's first president, is a quote that says, when the white man came, he gave us the Bible and he took away the land. When we closed our eyes, the land was gone. I would like to say it in a different way. They gave us stories. They gave us thinking, meanings, and we lost the connection with our land. That is more significant. What culture is there for us now? What does it mean to be black? We keep holding on to this thing of being black. But what is it? What is blackness? It's just the color of the skin? This is changing so quickly now. The world is becoming global. Black people are everywhere. So now, what do you have to hold on to? What is the culture? So much of black culture is defined by hip hop. And I've talked a little bit about it before. But the hip hop that we hold on to is the hip hop of meanings. The meanings of words, messages. See, the Bible is a story book. It's a wonderful book, and it has wonderful stories about wonderful people who lived wonderfully, yes, but still just stories. They're open to interpretation. It's the same thing. Wonderful teachings, wonderful teachers, but interpretation is just information. A book of words, okay? That's what a book is. But the book of life, this, the creation, is life. We can read that, and that's where the connection comes. From my previous video, I talked about the connection between white or Western culture and Hindu culture. And this is what we can learn from Hindu culture, is that it's a culture based on paying attention, on meditativeness, on reality. Reality can only be known by attention. The more we look for meanings, the more we get lost in the meanings. We lose sense of life. We lose sensitivity of life. This is what I'm trying to point out, that more than anything, it is not the religion or the education which has taken away our culture. It is the meanings that we look for, that we give to things, that has taken away our culture. Now what we call about black culture is a culture of frivolousness. Being frivolous is what is black culture now, mostly around the world. It's not about being sensible, seeing what is needed. There is black issues, for sure. There is police brutality, there is systematic oppression. These are real issues. But by focusing on meanings, on words, we are losing track of what is important, what is significant for black people today. It is not about the meanings, the words, the opinions, the expectations that we put on life. All thinking is just expectation. When you think right or wrong, it's a lack of responsibility. You're looking for somebody to blame, whether it's the devil or this person or the other person, the government, whatever, is a lack of responsibility. What is needed? This is what we have to look at. How do we address it? What are the real issues and how do we address it? In a sensible way. We're not willing to pay attention. We're willing to make a lot of hot takes, throw a lot of opinions, and cry foul. But we are not able to pay attention and see what the solutions is, work on the solutions. It's time we work on the solutions. Now you're thinking, this guy is crazy. Why is he talking so loud? I'm not angry. I'm passionate. This is something that is dear to me, that I see that so many people want to talk about injustice and all these things, but they're not willing to take responsibility. They're not willing to make themselves the change that they want. They want to be comfortable. This is their dream. This is become synonymous with black culture. That I'm rich, or look what I have. Comparing this and that. You want this person's life, that person's life. You know, I'm being loud. My neighbors, it's Friday night. This is my party. So, when I talk about this, it's not something that I'm angry about. It's just, I'm frustrated. It's frustrating to see that this is what we have been reduced down to. That to honor our ancestors is all about crying foul. The action is not there. The responsibility is not there. We would rather believe in this and that. All these religions, all of this is taking us away from a connection with nature, connection with life, which our ancestors were about. If we have to honor our ancestors, we have to get back to this. And this is where Hindu culture is strong about. Hindu culture, especially yoga, has, or Buddhism, if you have to look at it, is very scientific. And ancient African spirituality was very scientific. Many people will call it occult. Occult means a technology, in many ways, a way of connecting with something beyond what is considered ordinary. Spirituality and occult cannot really be separated. When you pray, you close your eyes, you put your hands together, you do the sign of the cross, you kneel down. Why? This is occult. In yoga, this is namaskar. Namaskar means connecting this side and that side, oneness, togetherness, bringing alignment, balance. This is the culture that we need to bring back for us to be seen as a culture. In the future, your skin, is not going to be as important. Right now, if we are willing to be responsible, there is nothing which is not at hand for us as Black people around the world. Many Black people have shown this. It's not something to hang on to. The oppression that is happening has gone down a lot. And for us to move past this, we have to stop acting like victims. And we have to be the responsible people. This is why we should look to the east, to India, and that side of the world, to see how to get back to our roots. Look back to move forward. This is the way. If we have to be honest, this is what has been missing. This is what we need to get back. Our sense of oneness, not because of our skin, but because of our connection with life. You can believe anything you want. It doesn't mean anything. In reality, if you have to pay attention, there is only one creation. There is a oneness. So there is nobody to blame. There is only one you. If you call something the devil or the ego or whatever, it's just a lack of responsibility. Temptation, all of these things is what you call the devil or the ego. It's happening within you. Heaven and hell are happening within you. It is time for responsibility. Naga.